Welcome to Behind the Backline, the podcast where we chat with merchants, brands, and industry professionals in the musical instrument, pro audio, and event technology space about their products, services, industry trends, stories, and more. Join us now as we dig into the stories behind our favorite backline gear.
Welcome to episode 16 of Behind the Backline. I'm Matt Jacoby of Octave Media, and today I have the pleasure of talking with Paul Flattley of Flattley Guitar Pedals. Thank you for joining me today, Paul.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's great to get a chance to connect, being on opposite sides of the pond and trying to find time in our schedules. So,
yeah.
So, let's start off with having you kind of tell us a little bit about who you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so as you said, I'm Paul Flattley, and I'm the owner of Flattley Guitar Pedals. Our company is making guitar and bass pedals in the UK. They're all handmade by myself. We're a family-run business, and we're looking to expand across globally through Europe and America. So that's hopefully you'll get the message out to some of your listeners today when the podcast goes out. So yeah,
I definitely hope, I'd love to contribute in any way that I can, and hope that if you're looking to expand to other parts of the globe, that this is a benefit to what you guys are doing. So do you guys, or have you ever been represented at the NAMM Show at all?
No, we haven't been represented at the NAMM Show. We've been going now for about 2.5 years. I was living internationally at the time, which was about the first year, and I was selling pedals abroad to expatriates who didn't have the choice of what they wanted to get. So then I came back to the UK at the beginning of 2017. I took a day job, what I've been doing for the last 30-odd years. I was director of engineering for a helicopter company. By trade, I was an avionics technician. So I worked until December 2017. Then I gave up that day job to now start this day job and run the company full time and get it on the map.
That is really cool. That is a heck of a change to go from those that career line to this.
Yeah.
So how long have you been playing guitar?
I've been playing guitar since I was about 21, so it's roughly around about 30 years now.
Okay. And has this been the guitar pedals thing been kind of a passion, or have you, where was the inspiration for jumping into the guitar pedal business?
Well, I used to like playing with pedals and getting sounds. I've never been much of a technical person when it comes to playing the guitar, but I've been more interested in what sounds that I could get to fill the void of the lack of technique on my behalf. But for many years, I was always being asked to look at electronics on music equipment and guitars. So when I was living abroad, I thought that I would start having a look at building some pedals and perhaps making a retirement plan, so doing something different. So that's kind of really how it all started. And there was a market where we were living because there wasn't really very much variety. So I managed to get into it at the deep end, so to speak.
Yeah, that is definitely a good definition of the deep end.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. But I also wanted to do something that, as well as producing sound, had flexibility in the product as well, and was also some form of art as well. So I wanted to combine quite a lot of features together.
Very cool. Yeah, that's incredible. So, what's your background in electronics? I assume that had something to do with your previous positions.
Yeah, well, I started off at the age of 16 in the military doing avionic as an avionic technician on helicopters. And I've stayed in the aviation industry most of my working life up until now, and been a sort of avionics maintenance technician. So I've messed about with electronics for a very long time on aircraft until coming off the tools, so to speak, about 15 years ago, and then going up through the management chain into the senior management chain, and even to running an aviation company.
That's a really cool story. So how does, have you found any like differences in how, how's it been going from avionic electrical to, sound effect electrical? Is there any difference in that, or is it just kind of more application than anything?
I think it's there are some subtle differences with the way that the circuits are made up and the components and stuff that are used and the way that they're used in the circuits to sort of like avionics components in the boxes. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to similar components of resistors, transistors, capacitors, integrated circuits, PCBs, so there's some commonality. And also there's a lot more soldering with the guitar effects than you would expect on an aircraft. So soldering is not really commonplace on an aircraft anymore. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, very cool. So like, what kind of, do you strive for, like, 'cause I see you have a great array of pedal models already. What kind of, do you have a specific genre that you kind of shoot for, or what kind of sounds that you're shooting for when you're creating the pedals?
Well, I tend to make pedals that have got tone in them that can be enjoyed, meaning really that I make the kind of pedals that have the warmer tones rather than the harsher, shriller tones, which is preferred by people, by other people. So, I've got stuff that covers many of the decades, but I prefer the sort of the warmer tones with the edges rounded off them. So some of the fuzzes that I make are the slightly warmer tones rather than the real harsh Velcro ripping tones that you do get with some fuzz.
Okay. Would you consider like a lot of your sounds more vintage then, or you said kind of older?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of vintage tones in there. Some of the bass products that I make aren't vintage. They've got some more modern tones in there, but I think that suits the bass, actually, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Whereas the guitar, with some of the tones, coming from the 70s and the 80s, that there's, it's through that period of where solid state came in, valve state was going out, and we seem to be going round now back to the valve amps to get the tone, and also the sort of analog style effects rather than the digital effects, which functionally may be able to do quite a lot more with programming and stuff. But I think sometimes the digital effects take away some of the tone of the pedals because they're a bit too clinical. That would be by layman's interpretation.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I mean, I've heard that before, that everyone wants to find the next greatest and best thing to continue to move sound and music forward. But a lot of people just, there's a lot of sounds that people just love and stick to and gravitate towards, and people don't always want change necessarily, especially if digital is affecting how, it used to be done. So,
yeah.
Well, cool. So do you have any, or I should ask, out of all your pedals, do you have a golden child or a favorite?
The Eddie Murphy question. Well, I think I like my version of the Plexi in a box. I think that's my golden child. But I do have a very soft spot for my chorus and flanger as well, because of the sort of style of music that I was listening to as a youngster in the 80s.
Okay.
So every time I play with those, it always transports me miraculously back to the 80s.
Isn't it amazing how music can do that?
Yeah.
Or sounds, I guess, in this case.
Yeah.
I have to say, when I looked at your website, I immediately took a liking to the bass sub-octave, just because that's the name of my company.
Oh, right. Okay.
But that was just my very shallow preference. It's not like I play bass or anything.
Right. Okay.
That's cool. So, kind of going back to you said you're a family-owned business. So who's all involved? Who gets what job, and kind of how did things work with that kind of dynamic for you guys?
Well, I tend to do most things in the company. as incapable of doing all of them, but some of them not as well as others. So to try and spread my time and spread it amongst the family, my daughter, who's just finishing her A-levels today at school, so she does photography. So she's done quite a lot of the early photography of some of the older models that we do. And she looks after some of the social media, such as the Instagram and those other more modern ones that the younger people use to get our products out there and what we're doing and what we're up to and where we'll be. My wife, she still works full time, but she gives up her free time to accompany me to the trade shows. She's a very good salesperson. And she does now start to help me with talking to retailers and putting together certain literature to push in the front of retailers or investors, etc. And she also looks after LinkedIn for Flattley Guitar Pedals. So she does a little bit of the social media as well. I now tend to focus on physically going and doing demonstrations with the retailers, or giving up my time to go and do a day demonstration in a music shop where they've organised customers to come in and try out the pedals. So I pitch up there with all the pedal boards and talk people through if they've got technical questions, want to know what the functions are, etc. And obviously the build as well. But we also have a custom workshop as well where people can come, particularly if they live in the UK rather than the US. But if anybody from the US was over on holiday, they'd be more than welcome. So people can come and bring their own guitar and amp if they want to, and then they can try out the pedal and they can customize it, because we do quite a lot of customization of pedals where we add halo light plates in, or light rings, or change the color of the nuts on the top plate and different color LEDs, flashing LEDs and stuff. So we really try and customize the pedal as much as people want to make it individual for them. Hence, any pedal that I have is available in any graphics that you can see that my pedal is available in. So as long as you don't mind the weight, because it has to go through the paint shop, which you have to fit into their production line as well. So it can be, if the graphics are out there, then we can generally tend to put the graphics on the pedal, so making it totally unique.
That is really cool. Is there anybody else doing like that much customization to the actual visuals?
I don't think so, but I have heard of people offering that option, but totally different than mine, but where people maybe have offered to do hand-painted pedals, but it doesn't appear to be that common, not in the UK anyway.
Yeah, and I would almost vouch. I mean, again, I'm not a guitar player, but I'd almost vouch that there. I don't think I've ever seen that much. I mean, usually the most customization I've seen here is people throwing stickers on their pedals because they have stickers. Yeah. So that's really cool. I mean, to be able to personalize it that much and just be able to, that's really a great personality trait, I think. And I feel like that'd be a great, if there's no one over here doing it yet, that it'd be great as you're try to expand more globally. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, I'd probably have to split myself in half, Matt, to be half over here in the UK and half in the States.
Yeah, you're going to need a twin brother pretty soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is because the America is so vast compared to the UK. I could probably hop on a plane in America and travel to another state, which is probably a lot further than the complete size of the UK. So I think that would be a pretty difficult one to do for me in the States, or being, fixed in a fixed place in, one of the states in America offering that service.
Yeah. So are you looking, aside from, because I see all the stores that you have on your website, are those, I'm assuming those are all UK based retail shops?
Yeah, they're all UK based, but what I do is, if I do get a contact from the States, then I would ship something to the States. That wouldn't be an issue for me. So, and I want to, I've been told by quite a few of the music people, that are reps and deal within the bigger companies say that my pedals would go down very well in America because of the designs. And it's kind of something that, would be, they seem to think that it would be taking on very well because of the way that they look. And obviously, hopefully people like the sound of them.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any retailers or any distribution in the States yet, or is it still a fairly new idea?
No, I don't have any yet, but I would like to have some. So it is something that, I would want to do fairly quickly, to be perfectly honest with you. It's just having the right connections or the right person to hook up. So, I mean, I get contacted by people on LinkedIn, but you don't know who they are. You don't know whether it's genuine or just somebody fishing for a free batch of pedals or whichever. So it's a pretty difficult one unless I meet somebody that is maybe an independent rep that would market the pedals across whatever sector that they work in America. But yeah, no, I would most definitely like to be selling my pedals in America because I think you guys would like it. And I have seen some images that I can get for some of my pedals that has the American flags on it and stuff. So I do a couple of pedals that have the British Union Jack flag on it. So I could do something that's quite patriotic as well.
Cool. I can imagine there's going to be plenty of people who would love that. And I was going to say Nashville comes to mind. I'm sure country people would love that.
Right. Okay. Well, you're going to have to educate me there then, Matt.
You said you kind of are looking for who might gravitate toward your pedals, and initially looking at your logo, I'm immediately drawn to the fact that it kind of makes your guitar pedals look more like they're rock focused. Is that right, or is that just kind of?
Well, I think rock. I mean, rock covers such a wide, a wide focus. But I mean, I have a big range of modulation effects. So your chorus, your flanges, your phasers, your delays and stuff, and then I cover fuzz, distortion, and overdrives. And there are so many different tones of overdrive in there that I'm sure that they cover a rather large plethora of different rock styles, from kind of like the Seattle sound to the, sort of the Zeppelin sounds to the Floyd sounds, the Hendrix, and, even sort of like, your Boston, so, big American rock bands and stuff like that, even down to your Guns N' Roses. So, but I mean, I do some pedals that work well with blues and they clean up very nicely, compressor. So if you were playing jazz or funk, I do 3 different types of wah pedals, which will take distorted sounds very well and still be very articulate. So I think we cover a wide plethora. The logo is kind of a rock and roll logo. You're quite right. That was actually designed by my daughter, and we like it, so we kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, I like it. And that might just be the drummer in me talking, because I've never really thought of the idea of pedals necessarily being marketed to a specific genre. But, I guess really any guitar player could use it to any way to make any genre change its sound and feel. So.
Yeah, most definitely.
Cool. So how long does it kind of take you to make a pedal from start to finish, or concept to final?
Well, how did you bring one to life? Good question. Well, the box itself gets drilled by myself, so that takes 10 or 15 minutes. If it's an overdrive pedal to make the insides up, including, populating the PCB and wiring it up, that kind of takes somewhere between 1.5 to 2 hours. If it's some of the modulation effects, like the flanger or the bass suboctave, that can take me up to 3 hours because there's 150 components approximately on the PCB, so it takes a bit of time. The paint jobs is what takes the most time because I have somebody that does that for me, and I have to fit in with the production line. But the process of some of the boxes go through 4 different processes during the paint process. So you can't start one until the other one's finished. So if somebody wants a custom pedal where they choose their own graphics, I normally say to them 4 weeks, but I can normally turn it around in about 3 weeks. However, if I have what they want in stock, like the empty case and the shell, I normally get that out to them within a couple of days. But I do carry a lot of stock in terms of I have what the pictures that you see on the website with the pedals in that form. I generally always have at least 1 to 2 of them in stock at the workshop. So if somebody wants one, I can dispatch it the following day or same day with a courier.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I generally don't really get how long it would take to make one, but that seems like once you've got the schematics and stuff down for the electronics, that you kind of just go on autopilot, it sounds like, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's once you've actually got your circuit working right and you're happy with it, then it's a relatively quick process by hand once you've stocked up and you've got the right components. But when you kind of design a circuit, it's really, there's a lot of thinking and sometimes when you're prototyping, there's a lot of soldering, desoldering just to get the right values in there or change the resistor. So that can take, you can take as long as you want to on that, really. It just depends on what distractions you've got while you're doing that, or whether you've set yourself a day or 2 days or 3 days, and that's all you're focused on. And as long as you come out of it with a box that you know how to drill off and a circuit how to make, and then the name, the graphics and everything else come afterwards. But sometimes I know what I want graphically, and sometimes I fit the pedal style to suit the graphics sometimes, which is probably the wrong way around, but that's just sometimes how it works.
Yeah, I would be the first one to say, like, as I do some design work, you'd be like, oh, if it's pretty, perhaps it will sound the exact same way it looks. Some people think that way.
Yeah,
especially creative people, or musicians. I don't know how many of them are creative in that way, but usually they all come at it at a different angle. So,
yeah.
Well, very cool. So yeah, I guess the last thing I wanted to ask before we wrap up here is, what's your website so people can find out more about your pedals?
Okay, so the website is www.flattley, which is FLATTLEY, guitarpedals.co.uk, and you will see pretty much most of our range up there. Also, if you go to YouTube and just type in Flattley Guitar Pedals, then you should see videos of most products that we do. Some are very short videos, like 1 minute long, that just gives you a taster of what it's like, which is mainly what's linked to the website. But then there are videos from live demonstrations, and also there's some long videos where I've sat with a presenter and we've just basically spent an hour talking about the bass pedals and giving people an idea of how they sound, what they do, and just general overview. So there's a real mix on YouTube of Flattley Guitar Pedals, and also there's a lot of videos and a lot more photographs on the Flattley Guitar Pedals Facebook page.
Cool. And we will include links to your social and your website and videos and stuff in the show notes for this afterwards, so people can check that out. Yeah, I'm happy to do it. But yeah, this has been awesome. I've learned a lot. I just beat on drums, and this has been very educational for someone who has no electronics in his life. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you taking the time today. This has been fun. It's been great.
No, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for listening to Behind the Backline, brought to you by Octave Media, an inbound marketing agency focused on helping music merchants develop an automated solution to increase website sales. You can find Octave Media at www.octave.media. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast in iTunes or Google Play Music to learn more about great products and companies in the musical instrument, pro audio, and event technology space, and be sure to leave a review to let us know what you thought of this episode. We encourage you to share us with your friends and colleagues via social media, and we'll see you next time. Take care.